apply at clinical research, we can apply it financial services, we can apply it in financial services. There are so many banking sectors, we can apply in retail sectors, insurance sectors, so many other automobile sectors, so many sectors we can apply statistics. Here we have taken the topic is a clinical research. So the statistics we are going to apply in clinical research. Today topic is especially with the application for clinical research. So before that, we should understand the that particular clinical research, particularly the clinical research knowledge, that the industry, about the clinical research industry. So that research industry, what exactly it produces, what exactly that functionalities, and what it gives the giving back to the this particular our society. The clinical research, part of the clinical research, I can say very simple: pharmaceutical product development. So that medicines or the vaccines or the therapies or the any other preventive medicines, preventive solutions, all this can be produced by this research. So that you can understand that so many solutions are giving for healthcare, especially for this industry is giving for giving solutions for healthcare, for human betterment of life. So to live better life. So it is giving solutions for healthcare. So that the part of that, uh, I will take one medicine. So that for medicine or drug. So nowadays is we take the example of COVID-19 vaccine or COVID-19 medicine. So the drug. So the part of the development of the drug. So this is a process. Here is a process. So you should understand the basics of this process. I cannot cover entire in-depth process, but I can give you the glimpses. I can brief you about this particular industry and particular process. This process, involving this process, and okay, I can tell you the medicine. Okay, COVID-19 medicine. So the COVID-19 medicine, before going approval and after approval, there is a process. So that process is involving with the that undergoing the clinical trials. The clinical trials is basically for the testing the efficacy and safety of the particular medicine. So the particular pharmaceutical company has developed the product, whether it is having safety or not, whether it is having efficacy or not. So this is going to test under this process. So you can ask me, so how is statistics and how is this particular science programming help in order to test this drug safety and efficiency? I can tell you very clearly that we will collect the information. They will collect the information and they will give us that as a statisticians, as a these programmers. Then we will analyze according to the requirement, and then we will tell the that drug is whether is safety or efficiency. So that part is this is a very huge process, but I can brief you. I cannot explain all together in 1 hour, but I can briefly tell you that what exactly is going to happen. So the drug, especially, we are going to test the drug safety and efficiency. That's what you are watching in TVs nowadays. That Covaxin trials also started yesterday, and they are saying first announcement is that there are no side effects. That means the drug which they are applying on the patients, which they are applying, giving the treatment, the patients are not getting the side effects. That means that side effects is indicated for safety. So the drug is having safety first, primary. Then they will look for the efficiency, whether is it curing or not, whether is it curing. Okay, if it is curing, it takes how many days, it takes how many hours, it takes how many minutes, like that. So this is the process. In this process, yeah, we are going to use statistics and SAS programming. So it's a really interesting. How is it going to happen? We will move forward. And right now you can see clinical research also involving investigated medical treatment, as I said, and relative benefits, competing therapies. So existing drugs, based on the existing drug, and we can also more efficiency drugs also we can produce, and then combination of the treatments. One treatment is working, okay, comparing with other treatment, is there any other combination also working more effectively, then we will also test. And then clinical research, why are they doing research? They are doing research to answer the unavoidable and uncertainty questions. Some questions cannot answer by looking at the data. So that questions we will analyze it, and we need to apply some methods, the statistical methods, and then only the answers will come to that particular questions. So this entirely involves in the research. I can brief you with the one diagram, this clinical research process. So why we need to understand the clinical research process, we are going to apply the statistics and SAS programming for this clinical research. So the application is important, the application. Otherwise, if you study statistics and SAS programming also, it will be like a theoretical. It will be like a just like a what we can just in the paper on the paper, and you read something like that. But it is not like that. It's when we apply, when we connect your subject, so the statistics and the science programming, then really you will understand what exactly, why are you studying the statistics and all. So that's what I am connecting this clinical research process. Yeah, you see this in this diagram, I am trying to explain you. The clinical trials begin to from the beginning to regulatory submission. What is going to happen in between? In this between, in the clinical trials process, basically one drug, for any one drug, then one protocol, that is a plan of action. The one protocol will design according to the requirement by the scientifical all together. It's not only one doctors, not only statisticians, and everyone involves is as a ethical committee, doctors, statisticians, and chemists and microbiologists, and all together involves and design a plan. That is the protocol. And then investigators selection, that efficient senior most doctors, the principal investigators, and then they will go for approval for the bodies are there. That means DCGI, for example, if you take Drug Controller Government of India, that is one of the approval agency in India. So then they go for approval process. If they get once approval, primary approval, but that means new drug application, NDA. They will apply for this. We are doing research. Please give me approve, and then we will move forward to discover the new drug for this COVID-19 something. Then they will start the patient recruitment. The same like nowadays the trials are going on NIMS and as well as KGH in Visakhapatnam, and in all over India there are so many centers. They are recruiting the patients as per the consent only, informed consent, and they are going to recruit the patients, and they will start these trials, so that whatever the intended drug, whatever the Covaxin, for example, Bharat Biotech has developed a Covaxin COVID-19 drug recently. Then they'll start applying on these patients. And then once they start applying on the patients, they will receive the data. The data is all about, we can call it as a clinical data. So that is, we are going to capture it and we collect it. And then we are going to work on the data. That statistician and SAS programming role starts from here, after collecting the data. Until the patient's recruitment, that is not the part of statistician, and that is not part of SAS programming. Just statisticians will give the inputs in protocol, and they'll give the inputs in statistical analysis plan. But when the statistics and the SAS programming, yeah, any doubt? You can anyone you can interrupt me in any problem or anything. I can also. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I think there are. That's what this is the problem. Can you unmute students? So yeah, we are getting some disturbance, background noise. So that okay. So please follow some instructions. Then only we can deliver.
All the
we can
students
deliver.
are requested to mute. 1 minute, sir.
Yeah, please. Yeah, then only we can deliver smoothly.
Please
Then other
mute all the students. Please mute. Mute your sound. Is it
Yeah, okay, madam. Okay, madam. We
okay,
will
sir.
continue.
Still it is coming, no? Some disturbance?
Yeah, still some disturbance is there. Anyway, despite of challenges, we will need to move forward. Okay.
Then we ended today.
Yeah, some of the students are not muted. Then that's the reason why we are getting disturbance. Is there any possibility, Sri Priya?
Sri Priya can mute. Sri Priya,
సార్ మ్యూట్ చేశాను సార్ అందరిని.
సార్ని కూడా మ్యూట్ చేసేసావు. చూసుకోండి అమ్మా, మ్యూట్ చేసేటప్పుడు సార్ని అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి. సార్ మీరు అన్మ్యూట్ చేసుకోండి సార్. అంజనీ కుమార్ గారు, అంజన్ కుమార్ గారు అన్మ్యూట్ చేసుకోండి.
సార్
Now it's okay, na?
ఓకే సార్.
All right. Yeah, are you able to see my screen, all of you? Yeah.
అందరు వీడియోలు
Yeah, Sri Priya, we are getting. Yeah, okay, now it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Oh, okay. Okay. Hello.
ఓకే సార్. సార్
Yeah, we will continue, but this problem that still continues. Okay, no problem. We'll continue. All right. Then we are here after this patient enrollment. Then the data collection of the data we started. When the collection of data started, then the process of the statisticians and as well as SAS program process starts. Then the analysis. Yeah, this I think. Sripriya,
సార్
you have muted all of them, right?
ఎస్
But,
అందరిని
it's
మ్యూట్
not-
చేశాను సార్.
Okay, right. Right. Yeah, please don't touch anything. Okay. All right. Now, yeah, after this collection of the data, then statisticians and SAS programming work starts. Then after that analysis, then that analysis reveals that whether the medicine is having a safety or not, and then that will submit to the steering committee. That steering committee, once the steering committee is okay, then it is go for submission for the other agencies like international agency, like if you take America, FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and if you take European countries, EMA, European Medical Association, if you take India, DCGA, Drug Controller of General of India. So now you can understand here, this is the entire process. In this process, so many departments are involving. Here, clinical operations and project management, clinical trial design, clinical data management, as well as statisticians inputs, and as well as SAS programming. These are all is a teamwork. It is a completely teamwork to develop one particular drug. So the part of that, our part is just like biostats and as well as SAS programming. Yeah. I'm moving forward. Next slide. Yeah. Now I can see some traditional product development, pharmaceutical product development. Before, first, what happens at early first stage? What happens? There is a process then we, for example, if it is a COVID-19 vaccine, so that biotech clinicals, what they did, will consider and they will prepare one molecule. That molecule go for preclinical testing on animals. If they get a approval, that means if they get a favorable results, positive results, then that go for a investigational new drug. It's like a, they will just we can say that investigational new drug is all about we can also this apply for the investigational new drug is for the submitted for the DCJ. They will take the permission at the DCJ and then they will conduct the, everyone knows nowadays clinical trials, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is they will conduct on the very minimum patients, and phase 2 they will conduct on the first, they will test on the phase 1 just of safety, whether are getting any side effects or any adverse reactions or any deaths happening or any other serious problems are getting on the health, like kind of things they're tested. Then go for phase 2, then little more. That means they are going to increase the number of participants as well as the efficiency also they will see, and safety as well, and then they will see the more number of patients. Phase 3, in the phase 3 they will decide the dose level along with the safety, along with the efficiency, and as well as dose levels also they will decide. But they will go for a more number of patients, more number of participants. Then after that, if they get the very good results, the favorable results, then new drug application. They will go for new drug application, and that new drug application, if they satisfy the agencies, for example, if you see that DCGA or FDA level or if other levels are, if they satisfy, then they will give the approval. So that approval, then after that they will launch the product in the market, and this drug is going to reach the patients, and the patients are after that also phase 4. Phase 4 is indicating for how the drug is going to help, how the drug is going to that means that curing the disease and this preventing the disease, and all this is going to happen in the phase 4. So this is just traditional clinical process. In this process, we are going to use statistics and SAS program. How? So this is interesting. So this is a, I have given the brief introduction for this particular process, and to this process we are going to apply the statistics. So now come to the role of statistics. So that is application area in the particular clinical research, clinical trials is application area. To that application area, we are going to use now statistics. So the role of statistics, how is the role of statistics in clinical trials? Now I will explain very clearly. These statistics help clinical research persons to take the decision from the collected information. That decision is a accurate decision, a reasonable decision, or whether is it a statistically significant or not. That they will take the decision from the collected information. As I mentioned in the early beginning, the collected information is nothing but after conducting clinical trials, there is a definitely data generation will happen. The data generation will happen, the data capture in some electronic case report forms. So that that forms is nothing but a database. That database is having a information of clinical data which we are conducted on patients. That patients are healthy patients or some ill patients or both combination, and then the data ready now. Then we will apply statistical methodologies, and by using SAS programming, then we will get some reports. Based on the reports, you can ask me, sir, how are we going to take the decision? How are they going to take the decision? How are the regulatory agencies are going to take the decision? They are going to take the decision based on our analysis and the reports, which we applied the statistical methodologies on the data. So that that is very you can surprise that we have a ample number of statistical methodologies are available, and that are helping to analyze the data and then helping the decision makers with the reports. So that is a decision in the presence of uncertainty, especially there is uncertainty. By looking at the data, you cannot tell anything. By conducting the trial, you cannot tell anything. By look at the 2-3 patients and whether if they are okay, you cannot take the decision. So there is a lot of uncertainty in this process. So that avoiding this particular confusion and uncertainty, we are applying the statistical methodologies and the data. Then the statistical methodologies are going to help to take the decision. Now coming to this, statistics are also helping preventing errors and biasness in medical research. That error, minimizing the errors. For example, if you take the human decisions without applying the statistical methodologies and without taking the help of the statistics. Okay, Sripriya, only one and only one person is disturbing that audio and video enabled for that student. So that student is disturbing actually. That name, you can chart her. You can chart her and you can tell her
Okay, sir. That person.
that only one and only one student is disturbing actually. Enabled video and as well as audio. Due to that reason, we are getting disturbed. Okay, anyway, we will continue. All right, this is the statistical importance in the this particular analysis. So now we will see how the statistical methodologies are going to help. What are the statistical methodologies are going to help? We will see with the one case study, that one real-time case study. What are the statistical methodologies are going to help in real time? What are the statistical methodologies in the clinical research? That we will see. And before that, we need to understand statistics also playing a major role in designing, as I mentioned earlier, designing also. That means the protocol design. The protocol designing at that at the time of protocol designing, they also ask us to the statisticians will give the inputs. The statisticians will give the inputs. The statisticians also play a major role in the particular protocol development, statistical section of the protocol. The protocol is a plan of action. In that plan of action, we are going to give the inputs according to the trial, according to the requirement. So that we can call it as a design. And after the design, then the plan of action is ready. After the next step is going for conducting the clinical trial. Then design is ready, then conducting clinical trial. For conducting the clinical trial, also there is a systematic and there is a discipline process is there. That process also defined in the protocol. In that process also statistics play a major role. That means whether is it a randomized trial, whether is it a single blinded trial, whether is it a double blinded trial, or whether is it a biased, unbiased. So many randomization also is a part of statistics, and bias also part of the statistics, and as well as this equivalence trials, inferiority design, non-inferiority design. So these are all comes under the particular design. According to that only we need to conduct the trial. So that conducting the trial, there are a lot of instructions plays a major role in the protocol. According to that, they will conduct the trial. So after the conducting the trial, already I mentioned that data will be available. Now the data generation happened after the clinical trial conducted on the subjects. Then the analysis will start. In the process of analysis, we use statistical methodologies. That statistical methodologies begins from the descriptive statistics, and the descriptive statistics also continuous variables and categorical variables, proportions. So many descriptive statistics involves you all knows mean, median, mode from beginning to count percentages and all we will generate, and we will show the numbers. It's all about statistical number. That numbers, by the numbers they will analyze it and they take the decisions, and they take the they will understand the data, they will understand the way results. So many things are involving in this based on the numbers. It's not a small deal. Numbers are is like going to play a major role in the this particular analysis. And next, finally, the reporting. The reporting will happen in tables, listing, figures, and the tabular reports, listings reports, and the figures reports gives the exactly the drug fate of the drug. the fate of the drug, the medicine, whether the medicine is having a safety or whether the medicine is under the uh, stipulated criteria, under our approval criteria or not, whether the drug is going to be approved or not, whether the drug is having any side effects, whether the drug is having any efficiency related issues. So everything will be come to know by the reporting. The reporting will happen in tabular reports and listing reports and graphical reports. And along with that, also this minimizing the so many errors and minimizing the biasness not favorable by the doctors or anything. So it's helping. It's helping the so many ways. So now I want to show with one case study that how the descriptive statistics, the continuous descriptive statistics are going to help in this particular clinical for continuous variables, the categorical. I have divided into the two categories. For descriptive statistics, first I am going to use how are the descriptive statistics going to help in this particular clinical research process. This, if you see this diagram, very clearly you will understand here. This is a one real-time one drug data based on the one of the product has developed. So based on that, I am taking the case study and I am explaining here. You try to see here, there are baseline values and change from baseline values. I can give you the very simple and straight to the point. Baseline values indicating for that patient, that particular patient entered into the trial and started the trial, and the first day, that before randomization, that means after randomization, there is a classification before randomization and after randomization. After randomization, that patient we consider as a enrolled patient. So that enrolled patient is all about any doubt. I have received one. Yeah, that okay. Yeah, the enrolled patient, we call it as enrolled patient. That enrolled patient's data we collect. For example, we take the HbA1c value. The HbA1c value is a one parameter. HbA1c is nothing but everyone aware about the diabetes. Is a particular, yeah, diabetes. For the diabetes, HbA1c is a one parameter. That parameter is going to collect just like same like before fasting and after fasting, there are glucose values, same like glucose values. Yeah, same like glucose values. Yeah, here is also a HbA1c values. So these HbA1c values we collect from the patient after randomization, that we call it as a baseline values. After that, after the study started going on, after week 8, week 12, week 24, if you see, this is a week 8, week 12, week 24 means that the study duration is week 24 weeks. So this duration of this study, 24 weeks, first from the baseline to 24 weeks. From the baseline is the first day, consider the collected values. And then after 8 weeks, also we collect the values. And after 12 weeks also we collect the values. After 24 weeks also we collect the values. So now the 4 times collected values. And then we compare with the descriptive statistics. How are we going to compare? We are going to use the descriptive statistics. Just simple. You are everyone aware about in statistics. Begins with a mean value, right? That this means n value, first number of subjects, number of patients. N is indicating for number of subjects. That means in the trial, how many subjects means how many patients are involved. That is called as the number of subjects. N is the number of subjects. So after that, calculating mean value, standard deviation value. Now you can see our statistics applying for real time. You see that average values and then standard deviation values. And now you can see median value, minimum, maximum values. Very simple, not confused to explain by explaining the That's a complexity. I'm making very simple. Here, we will apply these descriptive statistics on the each and every. For example, you see this is a drugs, the same like our Covaxin. Covaxin is a one drug, but here is a diabetes drugs. So the diabetes drugs we are taking here, that means Trigopil 30 mg, and we are also taking the doses Trigopil 45 mg and insulin aspart. So these are the drugs. So we are comparing, actually we are comparing these drugs. Trigopil 30 mg 40 mg is the same drug, but we are changing the doses, and we are comparing with this insulin aspart. So now we can understand here in terms of HbA1c is a parameter. We are also we are also calculating this n, mean, standard deviation, median, minimum, maximum. Now by looking at these values, actual values means, that is a change from baseline values means, I will tell you the difference. The actual values are here. You can see actual. That mean of HbA1c 8.03, standard deviation 1.22, median 8.11, minimum maximum 5.57, 10.26. These are the values. And same these values are other drug. For other drug, you can see 7.84. The first drug is a 8.03 mean, second drug is a 7.84, and then comparative drug is 8.06, and then now median values, and then minimum maximum values. So but researchers, they will know, they will come to know by looking at these numbers, they will come to know whether which drug is responding well, which drug is better giving efficiency, better reducing the diabetes. So by looking at these numbers, they will take the decisions. So you cannot underestimate this number. These numbers are helping decision making purpose. So that's the reason why statistics helping in clinical research with the numbers, with the tabular reports, and with the mainly we can call it as a measurements, the statistical measurements. By looking at the statistical measurements, they are going to take the decision. Now the same thing, these are the baseline values, right? Now if you see that this is a week 8 values, week 8, that I already mentioned after randomization, then that is a baseline. And now that is, now you can see this week 8. At the time of week 8, the week 8 also, they will collect the values, HbA1c values. HbA1c is all about same like this is a glucose level value, but it is a indication, it's a measurement of indication of diabetes. That if it is a more than 9, if HbA1c value is more than 9, we can call it as a severe diabetes. If it is less than 7, less than 6, then you don't have the diabetes, and your glucose levels are in HbA1c levels are in control. That means you don't have the diabetes. So that is the parameter. That is the importance of parameter HbA1c. So the HbA1c values are going to help in this particular indicating the diabetes. So indicating the diabetes values and all these things. So these values are going to collect in at the baseline, and at the week 8, at the week 12, at the week 24. So yeah, every stage that you can see baseline, week 8, week 12, week 4. We will compare. So change from baseline means at the time of baseline, how are the mean values, and at the time of week 8, how are the mean values, at the time of this one. Yeah, you can see. So this is we are going to compare, and then this actual, comparing actual. Now change from baseline means that a baseline value minus this particular week value. Then you will come to know these are the yellow color highlighted values are change from baseline values. So this change from baseline values are going to really help us to how the drug performance is going to change and all these things. So now you can see, if you see this comparison, now which is best, this is a Trigopil 30 mg 45 mg insulin aspart, which is responded well. Now you can see this is a minus 1.01 and this minus 0.08 at week 8, this is minus 0.88, and this which is best, you can see this. I already told you HbA1c values are more. If HbA1c values are more, then we can call it as a person under the diabetes, right? So that's the reason why part of these 3 drugs, 30 mg and 45 mg insulin aspart, this is responding well. Insulin aspart is responding well, comparing with this 30 mg and 45 mg. And there are three drugs. Here we are comparing three drugs. And if you see these three drugs, which drug is performing well, we can see this is the insulin aspart is performing well by looking at this yellow color highlighted. And you can see even at week 12 also, this value is minus 0.93. This value is indicating for insulin aspart is doing well. And even here week 24 also minus 0.76. And this is, so that means the value, if the value is more, means for example at the baseline, this value is this baseline value is more, and but after that it is reducing. So the HB1 values are reducing, means that drug is working actually. So that is the conclusion we can take it from this particular table. So that is the power of descriptive statistics in. So now it's a very simple example. So we are just using mean, standard deviation, and median, minimum, maximum. These are all, these terms are everyone knows in statistics. Students, this is a message for students. You are all studying from the BSc first year, second year, third year on. But where we apply these statistical measurements, where we apply and where we take the, where we using, where are we using to take the decision, it's very important. You know everyone, this mean, median, mode, and minimum, maximum, standard deviation, everyone knows. But the thing is, here is very important thing is a very clear indication is that these values are going to help researchers to take the decision whether the HbA1c values are reducing or decreasing, increasing or decreasing, if it is increasing and if it is decreasing, how it is, and then what is the minimum value, what is the maximum values, and at week baseline values, week 8 values, 12 values, 24 values. So this is the way they are going to take the decision. See, now you just got little clarity how the statistics are helping in clinical research. And this table will be generating by the SAS programming. Now you can ask me, okay, sir, statistics is helping like this. The statistical measurements are helping like this. The statistical measurements are like this: median, mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, helping like this. But how is SAS programming helping, sir? I can tell you the answer. The SAS programming is helping, like creating this kind of tables. How are you going to create these tables? There is a unstructured data, structured data. There is a lot of problems in the data. There are a lot of missing values, lot of duplicates, lot of missings. So many problems in the data. So the data, we need to correct it, and we need to make right analysis procedures by using programming, SAS programming, and then the result comes. That result is now whatever you are looking at the screen. The result, that is the result. That this result is produced by the SAS programming. This result is produced by the SAS software. So importance of learning SAS. If you learn the SAS, if you know the SAS, if you have a good programming skills, you can develop this kind of reports, this kind of tables. These tables helping the researchers, clinical researchers, to take the decision. So as a biostatistician, we should also have an idea to explain these numbers, and to explain the numbers and to inference. That means to interpretation about the results. We have to give the interpretation about these results. So the biostatistician should have that knowledge about looking at these numbers and looking about this particular this. So now I have connected statistics and science programming, how this is helping to this particular drug process. Okay, now next slide also I will show you. That is going to help another way. Yeah, you can see this slide. In this slide, you can see the count and percentages. In the previous slide, you have seen the statistical measurements. In the previous slide, you have seen the statistical measurements, sir. What are the statistical measurements? You have seen mean, standard deviation, median, minimum, maximum, like that, right? Now in this slide, you can see the count and percentages. These are, we can call it as the proportions. So these also statistical measurements. These statistical measurements, how are these statistical measurements going to help in this clinical research? Now you can see this is one of the summary of responder and non-responder in terms of HbA1c only at week 24. As I mentioned earlier, this is a 24-week study. For example, duration of the study is 24 weeks, and this is a responder versus non-responder. So responder, non-responder in terms of HbA1c. What I can tell you, criteria is that that HbA1c levels are more. If the HbA1c levels are more, uh, then that is not going to, the drug is, we can tell directly, indirectly, the drug is not working. If the HbA1c values are less, then the drug is working very well. So that is the criteria actually. That criteria, based on the criteria, we will get the data and we generate the report. And this is also part of descriptive statistics. But this descriptive statistics for categorical variables. So these are the responder, non-responder, two categories, right? So that the two categories, we are going to test which drug is more responding on the patients, which drug is not less responding on the patients, and total, how many total. And this is the complete also statistics is like this way also statistics helping to take the decisions. Now, if you see, this is a arm in the sense is a treatment. So the treatment, one drug is aspart, insulin aspart. These are all diabetes drugs. It's not a COVID drugs. So because the COVID drug still process, clinical trials process is going on. But this is the diabetes. For this diabetes is already over. This is one of the drug is working very well. The previous case study I have taken and I'm explaining. And if you see, this is one of the insulin aspart. This is a one drug. In Trigopil, these both are same drug, but the dose is different. If you see, here is a Trigopil is a one is 30 mg, another one is a 45 mg. Okay, 30 mg, 45 mg. The just which dose is working more effectively. Here we want to see the difference and comparing with the aspart. They are comparing with the aspart. This Trigopil 30 mg and 45 mg. Now, if you see, this is a table. This is also table, and this table are generated by SAS programming again. And then the SAS program, we have used some procedures, that procedure frequency procedures, and we created this table. Now, if you see the result, yeah, under this, how many responders, how many non-responders? You see, there are the patients are responding 20 out of 30, 26 patients are responding. The percentage 86%.67, and non-responders means only 4. The percentage 13.33 percentage. Now, even layman also can tell by looking at this how this drug is working. Or 26 members are responding means okay, this drug is working very well, right? So that kind of statistical. So that which is the decision. Even you are also taking the decision by looking at this row. The reason, the statistic, the power of statistics. So that is the statistical analysis is going to help us to take the decision. Now you can see this is comparing with the insulin aspart and Trigopil 30 mg. You can see responders. How many responders here under the responders? 15. And now you can see non-responder 15. See, very clearly you can say this drug is working 50% only. The reason 50% are responding or 50% are non-responding. The total out of 30. Yeah, you can see. Now Trigopil 45 mg, if you see, responders are 14 and non-responders are 17. You see 31, total 31, and non-responders are more. So you can see the drug is not working well. That means under the 50%, it is working only 48%. So now by looking at this table, also proportions are working like this. And the previous table, the descriptive statistics is a mean median working like this. So by looking at this, mean median values are telling the continuous variables. This is for categorical variables. Now you can apply your theoretical subject, your day-to-day classroom, you are learning statistics. So you are learning these basic statistics, descriptive statistics, continuous and categorical variable. So now you try to apply, try to imagine where we apply, how to apply in the real time, in the clinical research. By applying these statistics, how are we going to get the results? Then the results, how is it going to help to the decision maker, researchers to make the decisions and planning purpose or any quality improvement purpose or any decision making means whether approving the drug or not, statistically significant or not. So many ways. I am just connecting very basic 1% statistics here. See, the 1% statistics also helping us to tell the about the study, about the drug. So this is the power of statistics. And this table also generated by the SAS programming. Even the SAS programming helping to generate this table, the previous table and this table. That's what statistical knowledge as well as SAS programming knowledge. If you have, you are the pioneer, you are the powerful resource in the market. So even so many other softwares also there, even R software, Python, nowadays SPS also olden days, and some other Statistica is there, Minitab, MATLAB. So many softwares are existed, but SAS is having more functionalities and more advantage comparing with other things. So try to focus. At least you develop one intention to know about SAS, to learn about the SAS programming and all. And along with that, I can tell you one more example with the one graph. That previously I have shown you the case study with a table, and this is also table. But here is a categorical variable. This is here is a continuous variable. Here is a categorical variable. The continuation variable purpose. This is a very thumb rule. For continuation variable, generally we calculate descriptive strategy, mean, median, mode, and this minimum value, standard deviation, minimum maximum values. Categorical, we create a count, percentages, and proportion. Now you can see this report is entirely different. This is also one of the case study, and in this case study, you can see this is a cumulative distribution function. This is a one graph. So you understand very well, right? That these graphs are also helping to know the how the drug. Here we are talking about drug. So the drug, which drug is working well, which drug is working well, and which drug is not working well. Now, if you see in this particular process, here there are different colors. You can see one color is green. This is Aspart, and one color is red. This is a Trigopil 45 mg dose, and another one blue. This is a 30 mg. Now you understand this. This based on these three drugs. Based on these three drugs. Now by looking at these spikes, the spikes are very less spikes for the green color, right? That means the difference is whenever the difference is less, that means the difference is under the negative values, that we can say the drug is working well. As I mentioned earlier in the first table, this if it is under the minus, if it is fall under the minus values, then we can say the drug is working well. So if you see this x-axis, under the x-axis we can see the 0 to 3 and 0 to minus 3 to 0, and then which drug values are falling most under the negative region. That means this is a 0 to negative to 0